This regularly scheduled meeting of the South Tahoe Public Utility District Board of Directors. Please stand and join me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay.
Sure.
So, do we have an audience?
We do have a bunch of people in. The majority of them are staff, but there are there's one or two.
So if there are any comments from the audience for items that are not on the agenda, we can take those comments now. Okay, I think that means none.
Oh, wait, hold. Chase has his hand up. Chase, did you want to say something?
Hi, yeah, I would like to make a comment regarding the prior agenda item 6A, if now is the appropriate time.
Actually, no, it is not. So we are going to be pulling that item from the agenda. So the time that you would make any comments would be under ad hoc committee reports.
Okay, great, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and as such, we'll go to corrections to the agenda or the consent calendar. And as I said, staff recommends pulling item 6A, setting sewer capacity charges in order to allow further discussion with community partners.
Move to approve the revised agenda.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. We are going to actually vote on your screens, so here it comes. Okay, and that motion passes unanimous. It's coming up. Yeah, it passed unanimous. It didn't come up today. Okay, we'll try it again on the next one.
Okay. Okay, adoption of the consent calendar.
Move to approve the consent calendar.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. Okay. Motion passes unanimous, but for some reason these are not coming up.
There it is.
There it is. Okay.
That's a big screen.
It is.
Okay, I think that moves us directly to payment of claims, and I will move payment of claims in the amount of $1,815,430.90.
Second.
Motion and a second. That motion passes unanimous.
Okay, so that brings us to standing and ad hoc committees and liaison reports. So, do we have one on board?
Yeah, we had two earlier this week. The first one was the efficiency committee. Really, I guess that kind of committee now is kind of taking the similar fashion of, say, the ops committee, in that it's kind of just the ongoing development of things that are taking place. So, just kind of as various different departments develop kind of sustainability mechanisms, their wish lists, all the stuff that has to be kind of developed to begin to establish, what policies are taking place or ongoing, or are we going to move forward in the future. So, we discussed that. We discussed the keys briefly, the solar project, but it was really kind of just an update meeting. I don't think anything terribly substantive was discussed. I don't know, Shane, before we move to the housing, is there anything you want to add to that?
No, yeah, I think you're right on. The staff is working towards improving kind of their system for measuring improvements in efficiency, and so we got kind of an update on that. There was a lot of things that were kind of ongoing, so not much to report back on that. We did talk a little bit about the status of the Department of Energy grant, and that is not looking like we'll have any word on that until like July. So still looking forward to that. And again, I think you kind of hit it. Talked a bit about Tahoe and conservation activities there, as well as the solar project that is moving along.
Then we also kind of, as that closed, we moved into the Affordable Housing Committee. And so, we're joined by staff. And so kind of prior to that call, and, received emails I'm sure other board members had in regard to the concern with the proposed rate increase as it impacted affordable housing. And so I had been contacted by individuals and received phone calls. And so kind of in preparation, just full disclosure. So we had a chance to talk about it as a group. I think, largely the consensus was kind of the action we took today. There was a lot of concerns. Don't think there was enough time to necessarily discuss or address those concerns and make sure people's careers were safeguarded. And so pulled the item from the agenda, bring it back, start a discussion, stakeholder group, as these things go with the concerned parties and look to develop something that works for everybody. And so that's kind of, was the consensus, I think, of the committee. And I believe that's why, that was brought forward to the larger board. And then Shane.
Yeah, just to add that, again, we thought, we were going to pull the item, but still wanted to provide an opportunity for the public to provide us some input on, kind of some of the things they're thinking of, and so we can kind of get an early start on kind of thinking through policy associated with affordable housing and that kind of thing. So.
Okay. And does the public, is there any members of the public that would like to make a comment now?
Chase, if you're out there, are you interested in making a comment at this time?
Yeah, I raised my hand. I was waiting to be called on, but yeah, now's a good time. And thank you very much. I'm Chase Janbrin, Program Leader for the Tahoe Prosperity Center, and I'm very happy to be here today to give kudos where kudos is due. And of course, I'm referring to the initial agenda item 6A to discuss increasing sewer capacity charges to previous levels, which would have in effect doubled the fee. This would have been an extraordinary burden on affordable housing development, but instead you've proven once again how much you care about this community and the extent of your commitment to affordable housing. So I'd just like to commend you on your decision to postpone this issue until further research can be completed. And I'd like to point out that, as with any of the challenging issues that impact our region, this one will require careful navigation of existing laws, thoughtful community engagement, and creative ideas. The Tahoe Prosperity Center and the district have worked closely together in the past, most recently with your terrific new sewer unit transfer program, and we'd be happy to help in any way we can to ensure an equitable structure can be found for increases. And just to be clear, TPC is not against raising rates to fund necessary safety enhancements, required capital improvements, or operational costs. But what we feel is that when we look at these needs from an equitable lens, we have to take special consideration for affordable housing. And 62% of our economy is fueled by tourism, and a disproportionate number of our local workforce is employed by the service industry. So projects like Sugar Pine Village, rental homes, and the permanently affordable Riverside Avenue ownership homes are critical resources to keep our workforce part of the community and to ensure the local businesses can employ them and stay operational. So these two projects are currently in the approval process, as you know, and grandfathering them into a potential fee change is one option, but there are other more affordable and workforce housing projects that are going to come after them that will also need to be considered. So Tahoe Prosperity Center looks forward to working with your staff to find solutions that can be brought back to you for approval. So once again, a big thank you for your continued support for affordable housing, and keep up the great work.
Thank you.
And it looks like Rebecca Bryson has her hand up as well.
Okay. Rebecca, would you like to comment?
Yes, can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, so thank you. I'm Rebecca Bryson, and I work with several different housing efforts going on around Tahoe right now. And I also wanted to echo what Chase said, that we're very grateful that you listened to us even before the meeting and said, oh yeah, we need to pull this and think about this further, because STPUD actually has been a great player in all the housing efforts, the TPC housing efforts, and other ones that I've been involved in. So this, just shows that you are listening. And yes, we also are very concerned about housing, affordable housing, and just making it as affordable and attractive as possible for developers who want to do affordable housing up here. And one thing that has come up at many of the housing meetings that I've been in is this idea of a sliding scale. And Mia Kong is one of the developers that works with us, and her suggestion is always incentivize what you want and disincentivize what you don't want. And so if at all possible, we want to be incentivizing affordable housing and actually even disincentivizing the big mega mansions up here. So if you could consider a sliding scale, Truckee is doing it, and we think they could even go further. I also, we support the grandfathering in of the projects, affordable housing projects that are underway. Another thing which you did that might be something to look at is for the sewer units before, you linked it to TRPA's definition of achievable, I think. And so possibly as the housing groups around the basin come together and maybe think about sliding scale fees, maybe you could link it to definitions or efforts that are going on through TRPA or the city. But anyway, thank you, and we look forward to working with you to finding a good solution.
Thank you. Any further comments?
There's that letter from Dwayne.
Yes, I believe Melanie said she was going to read that.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and read it. So Dwayne Wallace sent this in this morning. He had a medical emergency, so he couldn't be here this afternoon. He wanted to say thank you for removing the agenda item regarding the doubling of sewer connection fees. As you may be aware, the item has caused a large, urgent community reaction that was not positive. The Chamber of Commerce, Builders Association, Board of Realtors, Tahoe Prosperity Center, Lodging Association, and many citizens immediately saw the urgent need to oppose the recommended action. The proponents of the current affordable housing projects were concerned. As you may be aware, I was a member of your board for over 2 decades, since 1991. I was on the Finance Committee for 16 years. In 2015, the board took permanent action to lower the sewer connection fees by 50%. The reasoning was as follows. The district's fees had caused major affordable action projects to not be feasible. STPUD fees had become the largest fee for any project, including single-family homes. We set out to reap the benefit of having all of those projects be able to send us quarterly fees in perpetuity. That math worked much better. In addition, we set out to be the first domino in a long line of agencies who lowered their commodity fees for affordable housing. We were the first ones to set that example. STPUD became an admired, innovative proponent of helping with employee housing. Now, just as those same projects we encourage through our actions are beginning to start building, it is wrong to now increase the same fee the district lowered to create the incentive to build. There are approximately 400 affordable housing units in the works throughout South Lake Tahoe. They have relied in good faith upon the fees that we set with the intent of making them permanent. It is gratifying to see that the district recognizes the above and has rightfully removed the agenda item. Sincerely, Dwayne Wallace. Thank you, Melanie.
Any further comments? No.
One more liaison report. Aqua Region 3 met yesterday, and it was just an ordinary business meeting. They cycled through all the various committees of Aqua. They really don't have anything of note to report. The spring conference for Aqua is next week. There should be a little bit more to report after that. That's the 12th and 13th, so I'll be attending that.
All right, how about?
I have a quick just report out on I attended the Alpine Biomass Committee meeting. It was Tuesday evening, and worked with John. And it's looking like they're moving forward with a couple of grant submissions. One to, I guess they're both going through CAL FIRE, but one gets at wildfire prevention, education materials, and the other one is looking to treat about 1,600 acres of forest in and around the Margaretville area. And so I think SDPUD is going to move forward on a support letter for those two projects. Again, not an impact in ratepayer dollars, but it'd be something, basically a grant application coming through CAL FIRE.
Thank you. Anyone else? How about board member reports? Nick?
Just happy to be back. Good to see everybody. It was looking good, right?
Yes.
So, yeah, no, really just good to be back. I haven't been doing much, so I got nothing to report to everybody.
I know none of us. Dave looks like he's been on vacation.
Oh, celebrating being back.
Yes. And I don't have anything. Okay. Chris?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Colorado Water Agency.
The meeting is scheduled for next Wednesday, the 12th, but that overlaps Aqua, so I'm expecting to get a cancellation of that.
Makes sense.
I don't know if there's anything that you're getting back channels going.
Not that I've heard. We just continue to work with Ken and the agency for those cost share projects.
Okay.
Do you have a report?
Thank you.
Got a few things for you today. Back to actually quite a bit going in terms of a staffing update. If you remember, we had 2 customer service representative openings, and after interviews in April, we made 2 selections. One of those was Rachel Callis, and actually her husband works on the pump crew. But Rachel comes to us from Mont Bleu Casino, and she's actually already started up front. The front office is open. And second is Tracy Brizendine, who is coming to us from Barton, and she'll be starting on Monday. And we have 2 new retirements to announce. Doug Van Gordon, he's our underground repair supervisor. He'll be retiring in June after 29 years here at the district. He actually started just before I started. So he's heading to Florida, and Dolores Trevitich will be retiring from the lab after 42 years here at the lab, so pretty amazing. Both Doug and Dolores have been really tremendous assets for the district, and we're really going to miss them. So for Doug, we're planning an in-house recruitment for that position, for that supervisor position. And for Dolores, her retirement's kind of been on the radar for a little bit, 6 to 12 months. We've been doing a little bit of planning ahead. If you recall, a few months ago, we did a recruitment for a lab tech. And as part of that recruitment, we developed kind of a ranking eligibility list for the other people that interviewed. So we're planning to go down that list and make a selection based on that previous recruitment. So with that process, we went back to that list and contacted Jamie Lynch, who has accepted the position. And she's currently working at a water testing lab in Santa Rosa, but quite a number of years back, she was actually working as an intern in our own lab when she was going to school at LTCC. So it'll be great to have her coming back to South Lake. And Liz isn't here, but she's looking for housing right now, and that's super challenging, as I'm sure everybody's aware. But that'll be great to have her join us. And it looks like we have finally filled that opening in underground repair water. That's been empty for over a year. We were going to start recruiting early last year, and then COVID hit, and we delayed that, and then we had some cost-cutting measures. So we're finally going to get them back to full speed. And it looks like we'll have a local candidate now in the pre-employment process. Hope to get him started in early June. And he's a longtime local with a great skill set with the local contractor. So really looking forward to that addition in underground repair water. And planning to hire 2 seasonal workers starting next week to provide assistance for our field crews during the busy summer. Originally, 6 seasonal positions were requested. So we're just going to fill 2 of those this year. And finally, Jen Cressy, I think you know Jen. She's back this summer to help out with community water conservation efforts, including with the Taoki. And she's been working with us for many summers on these conservation projects and been doing a great job. Her position is 100% grant funded. So busy times at the district and in HR. So I have a little COVID update today. They keep getting smaller. Maybe next time, no COVID update. We'll see. That would be great. But at the district, we did have one recent COVID positive test, and that person is out with some sickness. So that brings our district total to 8 positive COVID tests over the entire pandemic. So I think actually a really good record. And none of these were contracted here at work. Vaccinations, we have over 67 of our employees are now vaccinated, and more are getting scheduled every week. So that's really helping us actually in this last case. Yeah, I think that last case was in the lab, and there were some potential exposures there, but all those folks had been fully vaccinated, so they stayed. They didn't have to leave work and get tested and sit it out for 10 days as a precaution. So the vaccines are really helping us get back to normal. We've continued to operate at our internal risk level 2.5, the masks and the social distancing when we're working inside and outside, and other mitigation measures, cleaning, etc. And we're transitioning to get back to normal with more remote workers returning to the office. And any workers that are continuing to work remotely in May, they're going to be back completely next month. So that's COVID here at the district. And any thoughts, comments from the board before my last item on the Tahoe?
John, before you proceed to Tahoe, I need to redeclare my conflict of interest. I'm on the board of Tahoe Property Owners Association, and at the last board meeting, I requested additional legal interpretation of the conflict, and I did receive legal advice from both SDPUD and Tahoe Property Owners Association's general counsels that reinforce the conflict and highlight that the conflict cannot be waived by either board. And so I know I asked that our board consider waiving the conflict, but I'm going to withdraw that request at this point and simply recuse and continue to recuse on all matters regarding Tahoe water. Also, following that report is a closed session item, and those both concern negotiations with staff representatives, and I do have 2 nephews that work for the district, and so I'm going to recuse from the closed session as well. So with that, I will bid everybody adieu.
See you then. Bye-bye.
Bye, Dave.
Thanks, Dave. Sure. Okay, I'll just continue with my last item under General Manager reports on Tahoe Water. The district, we continue to work with the Tahoe and their consultant, MC Engineering, and also with Lucan's Water, taking a community approach to solving water supply problems while protecting the district and our ratepayers from any additional costs for this. So we are looking out for our ratepayers, absolutely. Lucan's is planning to install a fill station for landscaping trucks and also planning to construct an intertie with the Keys probably later this month. The Keys is also planning to install uranium treatment systems at 2 of their wells. Again, they think these can go online next month, so lots of progress in that area. The district, we completed a field test with the Keys last week, and we're testing that intertie. And we were able to flow 500 gallons per minute through that intertie at that time on that day. But there is no guarantee that we can do this 500 gallons per minute during any day, during peak days, and during peak hours of any day. So With that limitation, that is really how our current mutual aid agreement is set up with the Keys, that we'll give them what we can when it's available, but there's no guarantee of flow at any time. So a guaranteed long-term flow agreement would be a different agreement altogether. It would be essentially a wholesale water agreement with the Taoki's and a totally different pricing structure. And that's something I think we're going to be working on in the future. And actually the Keys has formally requested that we consider this. I received a letter formally requesting that that we take a deeper dive into district water supply alternatives and also including consolidation efforts. And of course, looking at district improvements that would be needed to bring the Keys online. So I think we're looking at some of Gary's time, certainly, but especially bringing in a third-party engineering consultant on board for this work, and the Keys would need to pay the cost for all of this work, right? So I'm going to be working with Gary to set up a financial reimbursement agreement with the Keys in order to continue down this road. So that's the latest with the Keys and our plans and working with them towards the future. That's all I have. If there's any questions, comments, I can answer.
I guess a question more related to the testing and, no guarantees being able to provide that level of water. So are we going to go ahead and supply the intertie? Is still going to be something available to the Keys? And then obviously coming with that, no guarantee of generating that amount of water.
Yeah, that's our intention, and they've actually not asked us to open up that intertie yet. Their well number 3 is still operational and has not been shut down or ordered to be shut down by the state as far as I know. And perhaps Kirk is online, I'm not sure. He could correct me, but I've not heard if there's been a status change as to their well number 3. So, but last month we installed a pressure sustaining valve at that intertie location. So once that intertie is open, it'll sustain at least 60 PSI on our side of the system. So essentially, we can deliver anything in excess of 60 PSI to the Keys. When we did that test last week, it was over 500 gallons per minute. So there's probably some times of the day in the evening where it's going to be much higher than 500 gallons per minute, but maybe right now it would be something less than 500 gallons per minute. But it's really just to protect our system, keep us at 60 PSI or greater.
Can I add a little bit?
Sure, Julie.
We also sent the Keys a letter kind of detailing what modifications would need to be made to our system in order for us to provide that 500 gallons a minute. One of the things on that list was they would need to install a backflow prevention device at the intertie. It currently doesn't have one. There's a check valve there, but after talking to the Department of Drinking Water, they advised that while it's not required, it would be prudent because of potential for contamination on their system to protect ours, that we required to install that device if it was going to remain open all the time. So that was in that letter.
Yeah, we gave them some specifics as to the type of backflow protection.
Exactly.
And Kirk's going to go ahead and look at getting that work done,
okay.
Getting some bids for that work.
Yeah. And the other point was when we ran that test, we did do some modifications from how we've historically been operating that portion of our system to have as much water as possible available for the test. And but that may end up in peak season, that reconfiguration could end up starving another area if we don't also make some minor upgrades to our system. And so we're working on that. And it's a small improvement of one of our existing booster stations to allow water to flow both directions more easily. And it's just a good thing for us to do our system anyway. So this is just brought back to play, so we're proceeding now.
That it?
That's my report. Thanks,
Someone
Kelly.
wants to say something.
No, in my opinion, all this seems exorbitant so people can keep watering the grass. I'll leave it at that.
Great taking. All right. So Steve past and future meetings. And I guess we haven't really been at it too long, so we could probably go straight into closed session without a break.
Sounds good.
Closed session into open session with nothing to report, and this meeting is adjourned.